I'm the mother of 3 boys, and we got rotavirus back in 2008, and it was when my twin boys were 2.5 and Ben, our older boy, was 4.5. The twins were quite irritable all day, and they were quite clingy, and they were a bit off their food. And early evening, Sam started vomiting, and really violently vomiting out of nowhere. He didn't even have any warning. He was just completely sick, and being 2.5, he couldn't really explain what was happening, and I thought it was just a vomiting diarrhea bug that would pass. But the poor little thing was sick throughout the night. We had 2 bed changes, and in the morning this dreadful diarrhea started. It was just a green watery fluid that just came straight out of the nappies. Even though it was a brand new nappy, it would come straight down his legs or over the top, so it was quite nasty. And unfortunately his twin brother started the next morning. He started vomiting, and his diarrhea came on quite quickly, and again they were both complaining of really sore stomachs and leaning over. They didn't want to take any fluids. I was trying to give them water, and they were just completely off everything. So I rang my GP, and she took one look at them and the soiled nappy that Toby had done on the way, and knew it was rotavirus straight away. So she told me what to do. She told me how contagious it was, and advised that we basically keep them out of circulation for a couple of weeks because it's such a nasty bug. The vomiting stopped after 48 hours, I think because they were empty, but the diarrhea seemed to continue on because they were taking fluids for about a week, and then it finally stopped. And they were home for 2 weeks. They couldn't go to daycare for 2 weeks because as soon as we found out it was rotavirus, the daycare obviously asked us to keep them away for a 2-week period, which is quite a long time when you're at home. So I do remember at the time thinking, God, if we'd both been working full time, it just would have been a nightmare, because it would have been 2 weeks at home. You can't even go in public with them because A, they're so unwell, and B, it's so contagious. Unfortunately, we got it again about 6 months later, end of winter, and I think the kids, their resistance was a bit low because they just had colds, and they started vomiting and they had the diarrhea quite quickly, so I knew straight away it was rotavirus again. Fortunately, I got it that time as well, even though I was being fastidious with cleaning and sterilising. It's just obviously such a rampant bug, and I was pretty wiped out for about 3 days. Felt absolutely dreadful. I had the worst stomach cramps I've ever had, and obviously terrible diarrhea. All in all, it was a pretty horrendous bug to live through. I think, you know, having 3 young boys, we've had colds, I've got one son who's got asthma, which is quite scary. We've all had chicken pox, which was quite full on. But rotavirus was definitely the worst illness that those poor little things have had. I just felt so sorry for them. And they didn't understand what was wrong with them, and it obviously really knocked them around. So it's not something I'd want to go through again.